at a particular price. But how many of us are actually bringing up solutions to these problems, or are we just based on the problems and not, bothered about how we can solve it? If we can also do our parts in solving it, or get our voices heard in terms of knowing the solutions and making sure that the government has the solution, and you know that you have done your bit by sharing what you think is the solution to these issues, and if the government doesn't take it, then you've done your bit. How many of us have actually thought about that? Well, that's why we bring you the melting point, because we don't only bring out the problems, we also analyze the solutions, possible solution to get out of issues like what we are facing now. Yesterday was Labor Day, and there were a list of things that the workers and Nigerians in general are going through. Why this is such a difficult worker celebration for Nigerian workers, why it's so difficult, and there were a number of things that were listed out. But these are just problems that could be or possible solutions that could be used to tackle these issues. We'll be talking about most of these issues right here on the melting point, as we have been doing from time immemorial. All right, good morning once again to you. 5 minutes gone past the hour of 10. Let's get talking. My name is Sharon Mandor, and once again I welcome you to the program. Today we're going to be talking about meetings from yesterday, the continuation of the Labor Day, and the minimum wage. We're going to be talking about all of that. Also, one of the demands that was made by the NLC, by the organized labor, and how the federal government is doing its bit to fulfill that promise. And what I'm talking about is the CNG, rolling out of CNG buses. So we're going to be talking and exploring different angles and perspectives from now to the top of the hour, so stay with us. All right, so a brief background on what we're going to be discussing. The ongoing negotiations for a new minimum wage have deadlocked following the inability of the federal government and organized labor to reach a consensus on the issue. President Bola Tinubu gave this indication in his speech during this year's International Workers' Day celebration in Abuja yesterday. Also, the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Mr. Abayo Onanuga, in an interview, faulted workers' insistence on the 615,000 naira minimum wage. He said the government and labor unions had not agreed on the amount for the minimum wage. But the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajero, defended workers' demand, insisting that the organized labor would not accept any amount that would impoverish its members. Joining me in the studio is a political affairs and founder of Open Forum. Good morning to you, Citizen Matthew O'Connor.
Good morning, Sharon.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Before we go into the main issue, the main discussion for today, I know that you're starting this, something that you've done before, but you're doing it again. I'm talking about the hunger strike. You're commencing today, right?
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Today is the first anniversary of the commencement of the 7-day hunger strike I went to in 2023.
Okay, it's the anniversary. You're not doing it again.
Yeah, no. God,
Okay.
God forbid. Today is the first anniversary of the commencement. It was actually a 7-day hunger strike, and then from the 2nd of May till 8th. Yes, and by the grace of God, the outcome is something that is going to impact society. We came out of that not because the matter was solved by the then Governor Bill Emmanuel, was at the front. Actually, today wasn't the commencement. I think we had a press conference, which we gave 7 days before we now commenced. By the grace of God, it was successful because people were able to understand that you can have a government and don't have governance, and that you could have people that know you and know your worth, but because everybody wants to be politically correct, they would mind lynching an innocent soul just because maybe one big man or two big men somewhere could retain their integrity, which they operate in deficit. But God saved me and the people that were with me. You know, at the end of that hunger strike, we went to Barracks Road to do what we call March for Justice. Nobody attended to us except the DSS, and I want to thank them. We'll come to that later. And then we went to media houses. In fact, that was the first day I knew where Memories was located. Because when we came to the NTA, Memories came out to interview me and some of the victims of injustice and oppression that were with me. Unfortunately, about 3 of these cases that I handled, they have died within the period. And the people
without being attended to.
They've never without being attended to. Instead of attending to issues raised, people want to go for the jugular of somebody that has a voice for the people. I was actually warned to discontinue my advocacy and the style I do it, because when you solve problems for people, I like to unveil the reasons, the people behind the problem. And unfortunately, like I've said, we are releasing my press statement will be out today. I'm not looking for who I want to be. I know who I am. Because of the decay in moral standards and the loss of value in society, people believe that everybody should be part of the gang, part of the... It can never happen. God does not like remnants, and I am one. And I have survived everything that I've survived, including spiritual attacks, physical attacks. I've lost all my properties, lost everything. But I'm beginning afresh, and I want to announce that by the grace of God, this very month, to mark that 1-year anniversary, we are beginning a podcast that will transform society and will be much more than ever before. Give voice to the voiceless in a dimension that has been unknown in this part of the world. And I believe that Akwa Ibom State is the capital of visionary leadership in Nigeria. I'm going to prove that in our documentaries, in our spotlight. So that excellence that our forebears led for us, which has been bastardized, we are going back to it. So I want to thank you for bringing this up. We are creating what we call the Open Forum Global Community. We're going to be on social media, and we'll try to also reach out to media houses to help pick up the news and maybe give us point to share thoughts and help humanitarian cases. Like some of the cases I've been attending to, which are still there. You have a cripple, a physically challenged, whose mother has been in the mortuary for 8 years. 8 years now. And there's no hope of burying that woman because of issues around it, but that's what we're going to do. We have, yesterday, shockingly, I must say this because it's a breaking news. I was on a sister station, both TV and radio, and while leaving I saw a couple came in, and what I heard made me cry. The mother to one of the kidnapped corps members, she sold Akara by the street corner to train the child at the Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic. Is one of those that were kidnapped, and is still there in captivity. Guess what? I was surprised to hear that we now have just 2 of the kidnapped corps members in captivity. No longer 3 that we thought.
Where's the third person?
I don't want to go to Siri. He's free. But
Okay,
the process that he became free is a blockbuster. I'm having goose pimples as I'm speaking. It's a nightmare. We have cases. So I'm not using this program to hide that, but by the grace of God, I know Memories is always memorable. You need to follow up the memories of some of the things I'm saying, because society will be more comfortable and you drive traffic to this station. We are beginning a revolution. The status quo will never remain the same. Without resources, that's why when some person said, I'm being sponsored, I said, I don't blame them, because they are so empowered. So empowered that if 0.1% of what they have is given to me, I will affect thousands of people and I will line them up for the world to see. And they will say, MK is sponsored. I've sold all my property. I lost all my resources. Everything I owned in life, I lost within the last 8 years. But thank God I didn't lose my life. You know, I was committing suicide in 2021. God told me, why do you want to commit suicide? For this person or for that person? This is who they are. And I told God, heal me. But until you heal me, I won't die at home. I'm going to die on the road walking. And when God saw I had opportunity to be killed somewhere, when I was told something like was going to happen, I got prepared. I did my last prayer. And God saw that this guy is ready to die truly. He healed me. Spinal cord, nerve problem. Talk less of the poverty that is grinding. But have I ever carried myself like a poor person? I'm one of the most vulnerable persons in the Bible State, but no way. Why? Because there's a voice that speaks. So it's that voice that's propelling that we are beginning something new, and I want to solicit support. It's not about me. I've given my life to God to serve humanity the rest of my days. So whosoever feels, because the position he cannot put them, enough is enough. I'm not going to just save myself, because God has saved me. I'm going to save others. I'm going to help government to know the truth on several things. We dissect it, not on partisan basis, but to help the government and help the citizens to make sense. Otherwise, you see where we are now as a people? It's going to be worse unless there's intervention. So that's what one, the goodness, the good thing that this anniversary of the hunger strike is going to bring to us as a people, not just Akwa Ibom. It's a Nigerian thing, and that will have global impact. So thank you very much for bringing that, and you just
to actually go on a hunger strike for 7 days
Yeah.
is not something that anyone would want to do. It's something that has been thought through, basically.
It wasn't thought through. It was a spiritual decision, because I don't think I've ever done 3 days dry fasting in my life, 3 days non-stop. I'm a Christian. I'm an ordained elder in the church. I teach you, if I have opportunity, but above all, I'm a church cleaner. I wash the toilet, I clean the seats, do the grasses, do the gutters, and that's what God has used to bless me. Bless me. Even the day I left the gutter to go and be attacked in Senetai, I fainted while trying to distill the gutter because I had timing. My sons were there too. I fainted. I didn't want them to know. But I left that place the same day. I went to Senetai, and cultists that were unleashed by power mongers. 2 people died in the process. My vehicle was burned. I lost everything. But I ran faster than them. When they caught me finally, aged people saved me. While taking me on a run to save my life, they ran faster than me, and they told me to remove their shoes. I said, it's not my shoe. I had lost every fluid in me, and there was no more connection between my thighs and my lower legs. But here I'm at to tell the story. But what did the government do? Nothing but reward even the people that perpetrated that act. There's so much to say, there's so much to do. We are a Christian state, but we are more of a religious state when it comes to people talking about God and being God-centric, except for those that don't know. But if you are spiritual, you know that there's so much work to be done. I ran to Christian leaders, and let me not bring that story here. It's a gory tale, but we have solution to all of that, because we've all come to the bus stop. The rich and the poor are vulnerable in Nigeria. That's why Open Forum is about the vulnerable persons. But since the rich and the poor are all vulnerable, why? Poor leadership, mismanagement, corruption, terrible policies, impunity. Nobody is spared. So we must come together and do something differently. I thank God for Pastor Moino. He's doing something differently. I can attest to that so far. Yes, and we're going to help him. As when Walabi Tinubu is doing something differently, it doesn't matter, it's the same party platform. But this, what is called, what is it now called, class suicide. Yeah, nobody will expect APC to fight APC or to prove APC, but they are doing it. They are doing it. Even though it's little, but it's better than nothing. After all, there's no proof going on here with the several corruption cases. That is why I'm calling on His Excellency to set up a Truth and Reconciliation Committee or commission that will help to reconcile Akwa Ibom people. We are more divided than ever before. His effort at the political class is elitist. And by the time politics comes, some of those people are going to show their true colors. It's not good enough. The real people are in crisis. Families have been destroyed. And until that happens, because most of these things are caused by people in power, both at some traditional level, religious level, the political class, that one is a no-go area there at the Baba. So, something deliberate, a policy framework. And because if you have a problem, nobody will be there to solve it for you in Akwa Ibom State, there is need for the Public Complaint and Anti-Corruption Commission. Let people take their matters there, an institution that can take care of it. Otherwise, for now, His Excellency is solving problems. Anything that happens, if His Excellency is not there, it's not solved. Name it. Abigail Frederick, that girl that died, 150,000 naira to bring her corpse back. Nobody had it. Nobody had initiative. Even an essay or someone essay said they contained 10,000. Insult to our souls. And the young girl was buried there until Mr. Governor came back and said, go and bring back the corpse of my daughter. 150,000 was what they said was the complaint. And you have people in the cabinet. You have people that drive in convoys. We are better than that. Look at the TRC law. 3 months out of court. It could not be resolved until he went around the 3 key component parts of the state, Afena, Ifiribum, Borough, and brought them to government house and said they were committed by himself. The governor doing everything, even God will not allow it. We will help the government, no matter whose ox is gored. We will help the government, we will help the citizens so that we can be a better society. Let me leave it there, please, so that you have your issue you want to discuss today.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, citizen. Let's go into the discussion of the day. Like you already know, yesterday was Labor Day.
Absolutely.
So there are a list of number of issues that workers, Nigerians are passing through: fuel scarcity, cash. Food prices are skyrocketing, fares are going up, electricity is going up. In fact, everything, things are just happening all at once here for Nigerians. And after the meeting, the NLC, in fact, the organized labor, insisted on 615,000 naira as a living wage. Now, I know yesterday I had a conversation with my analyst concerning the ideal amount of that should be given to workers as a minimum wage, and he said at least 200,000 naira. And we had arguments on if there's going to be an implicating inflation or not. Now the organized labor is asking for 615,000 naira. Let's get your thoughts on that before we go into the specifics.
Well, first of all, remember, or you can recall my views when it comes to the issue of minimum wage. When Mr. President said he wants to give Nigerian workers, he did not call it minimum wage. Remember what he called it? Living wage. And I said to myself, this statement is just to make the labor feel good. Because the labor itself, maybe my standard is too high, I don't know. You cannot be talking about palliatives, you cannot be talking about salary, a wage increase, when in actual fact there is a greater fundamental problem. If you don't address the root cause of a thing, forget it. Everything you do will be palliative, and at a point will become so destructive that anybody that's able to survive and show is a bit independent from society will become object of attack by hoodlums, or family will have to come and depend on you, which you will have to meet up. So what am I trying to say? Mr. President said he's going to give living wage. Looking at the condition of Nigeria, what would be living wage? Living wage would be, you have used all the yardstick to calculate transport, feeding for a family of 4 or a family of 5, at least officially. I remember in Babangeda's time he said every family should have about 3 children or so. That was the limit. So if you have a father and mother,
is that still in use?
Whoever even used it even then. So you're looking at, maybe you have an assistant at home, maybe 6 members. How much will each of them eat breakfast? You're supposed to have lunch officially. You're supposed to have dinner officially. Snacks for the children that go to school. You calculate all those things, you'll be able to have what you can call living wage, which will still be minimum. That living wage is to be minimum. If Mr. President and his handlers had done the homework, he would never have made that statement. I faulted that statement from day one. Why do you make this statement? You are not on campaigns. The only way people do campaign that politicians are ready to lie, and because a number of citizens are gullible, they will swallow the lies, and they are the victims, and they will still worship their tormentors. that statement was like doing campaign. You want to impress so that they vote for you. He was already president. So talking about living wage was a suicide mission, because I knew he would never be able to meet it even by his own calculation. Labour here has no input, has no idea of what's wrong with Nigeria. What's wrong with Nigeria? What's wrong with Nigeria is not the minimum wage for workers. It's the economy that had collapsed under the previous government, that some people saw the president as a deity. And their deity led them to the precipice, and so many have dropped off the precipice. As I speak with you, you and I, and every other person hearing me, are survivors of a calamity of monumental proportion. We are survivors. There are some person that said they should be given certificate of survival after Buhari's administration. Yeah, it was like a joke, but it's real. We should be certified. It should be even a national honor that we survived that administration. But because politics is, I don't know how to define it, people still stood by him, though it was a divided house. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a candidate, was campaigning on his own. He was campaigning against the government that didn't know what to do, they didn't know how to think, they didn't know how to do, that he would know how to do. But here we are, a continuation, even worse, because when the Buhari administration wanted to increase the, talked about wage increase, honestly speaking, I used to pray with tears in my eyes, say, God, don't allow this man to attempt this. The economy will collapse completely. Because they wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't. They never knew what to do, except the kind of manipulations and the tales which has been put on one man called Emefiele, who made himself a voluntary slave. Don't cry for him. He made a choice. And he's comfortable because you don't know what understanding they have had. Now, he wanted to take off, remove the fuel subsidy. I prayed privately, and I talked on air everywhere. I said, God, don't allow him to attempt that. He will plunge his country into a mess. And thank God he didn't do it. He said he has paid subsidy up till June. But I said, why did Bola Ahmed Tinubu came up? And according to him, he said a strange spirit possessed him. He said that in France. A spirit possessed him on the platform, and he made that announcement. And somebody said that must have been an evil spirit, because you cannot make such an announcement without plans. Juxtapose that strange courage with wage increase. Which one should have required critical thinking and a committee? Sharon, tell me. Between salary increase with over 1 billion to a 37-man committee to discuss how much salary is to be minimum wage. It was almost 2 billion before he asked them to review it, and they said, okay, I approve this one. Say one or whatever, as start with this. To determine wage increase, absolutely unpardonable. But what's the outcome? Is it not over a month? The wage increase was to start in April. The committee cannot submit report. The 1 billion naira committee cannot submit a report. Tripartite committee. They came to Akwa Ibom here. I was too busy to go. I said, I don't want to waste my time going there. And trust politicians. On the eve of May Day, federal government announced wage increase of 20.
Consolidated.
Whatever it is called, leave those ones because it's irrelevant. A worker is a worker. So if you're not capturing all workers, that means we are back beyond the starting point. So 25 to 35%, maybe 25% for the higher class and 35% for the lower class. But there was no mention of minimum wage. So it wasn't minimum wage.
No, it wasn't.
Good. So if you could celebrate May Day, the first May Day in the life of this administration, and you could not announce minimum wage at the set of a multi-billion, let me call it multi, $1 billion naira committee, you cannot resolve that, there's something wrong with us. Something wrong with us.
So you're saying that you're not impressed with the tripartite committee? Their actions have been.
Nobody should be impressed. The committee has failed in the first place. It should be disbanded immediately. It should be disbanded. It's an embarrassment. In fact, if they have not been paid their sitting allowance, they should not be paid again. That is one. Two, the key issue is not even what Labour is saying, because Labour cannot talk about 615,000 naira as minimum wage when they know that even a member of that committee, one of the governors who is a member of the tripartite committee that they are all in, could not pay 30,000 minimum wage. So it's a reality show, it's a skit, which I'm sure some of our skit makers are going to make millions of naira from just acting that. You don't add anything. Just act what is going on between government and Labour and the tripartite committee. View Nigeria, the same suffering Nigerians and workers will go there and laugh. What is the solution? What's the way forward? The way forward is the fact that the problem with the country is the economy. We have to look for the minimum standard of what economy we should operate. We've lost everything. Our oil is being given ahead. We collect the money and they will give you oil in the next 20 years or more. Just give us money to survive now. And we are doing manipulations, propaganda on how strong the naira is. Whereas even the global community that is, what we call the World Bank and that has been telling us, kill yourself, remove fuel subsidy, remove subsidy on energy, don't give any subsidy. Whereas in their country they are enjoying subsidy. But in Nigeria, with the kind of leadership that we have, they're saying remove. You cannot do that. You want to attract international investment, you have to remove so that the investors will come. When they come, their money will be huge enough for do. And we keep listening, we keep doing it. So until we have a reformer as a leader, we will never come out of this quagmire. We don't have a reformer on the saddle, but we can make one out of him. How? Citizens' engagement. If you go to Ibom Plaza, that is the highest point where you have newspaper stands, and you see people who may likely just eat once a day, but they want to stay current. They go there. That is their people's parliament. You hear the conversation. I'm telling you, the ideas that are shared at Ibom Plaza are better than some of the policies that our leaders come to the public with, driving in convoys. Like I told you, when we begin, we have started the Open Forum podcast. We'll do an expose on that. So until citizens, including those ones we look down on at Ibom Plaza, at newspaper stands, and they don't have work, and they'll be arguing with themselves. Sometimes they don't fight anyway. They are very civilized. They don't fight. There's never been fight, but they argue a lot. And politics and sports are what they are good at. I'm not good at sport at all. So, if artisans, if jobless people could think better than leaders, what stops these citizens? What stops these jobless persons who are victims of bad leadership, unproductive people that are appropriating billions just to keep themselves in public office at public expense on monthly basis? What stops them from saying, we are coming together, we have our platform, and then we'll be dissecting policies and making our views known, and we'll do it so consistently that anybody that says you're not aware, you'll be seen as a liar.
Okay, but citizen,
yes,
from what I just got from you is that you're not impressed with the 615,000 naira that was demanded by the NLC. That's one, as a living wage, and as you said earlier, living wage should not be a point of priority right now.
Yes,
it shouldn't be. So what should be there? So the focus should be on the minimum wage and not the living wage.
Yes and no. I've said clearly the living wage was a slip a feudal slip by Mr. President, because he himself cannot. If he's asked to calculate a living wage, what will he come out with? Will you come out with 35% of 30,000? Will 35% take that to 100,000? Except somebody never passed maths in school. So 35%, we are just looking at maybe around a little above 10,000, 11,000 or so.
So what's ideal for you?
The ideal thing is that one, the government pending the minimum wage discussion law. And how much was federal government wage award? Was it not 35,000?
Yeah.
What should be the minimum wage?
No,
35,000 was the palliative, the wage award added to whatever, for instance, lowest earner collects. So somebody that collected 30,000 before now gets 35,000 to add. That means it's 65,000. As palliative, wait, hold on, take that whole body, maybe we come. Take that whole body. Now that you have come, you now remove the palliative, reduce what the no, it doesn't make sense anyway. The minimum wage should possibly be in line with what a visionary leader, let me call him so, no matter what people feel about the man. I have Godwin Obaseki. Godwin Obaseki came up with 70,000 minimum wage, and people said it was political because he's going to election.
Yeah.
But he's not going to election. He did not do that because he's sure his candidate will fail. He's doing that because he wants his candidate to win, which means the candidate that he believes will win in his party must have agreed with him. We can pay this. You understand? I hope you get my point. Obaseki is not setting trap for a new administration. He is consolidating so that people can support the incoming person who say the candidate of his party, the PDP, because the man himself must have calculated and seen that it's possible to pay that. So that for me made sense in two ways. It shows that we are a federation. When minimum wage wasting time, they will announce minimum wage 18,000. State will say no, we cannot pay 18,000, 22,000. No, we cannot pay, because here is the opportunity. Here is the opportunity. And how many states have said we are determining our minimum wage because we are a federating unit? But when it comes to fighting corruption, a state governor will say, yes, you don't come to my state because we are a federating unit. You don't have power to come and investigate corruption cases. We have not complained about that funds is missing, whereas trillions must have missed in the treasury. So it was a good thing. And for you not to destroy the economy, I tell you, we have to be very careful, because there will be an increase that will be made. The private sector will collapse completely.
That's another angle.
They will never be able to meet up, and we are buying from the same market.
Yes, the fact that a large percent of Nigerians are working in the private sector, and most of the employers of labor are in the private, supposed to manage with the increase in the wages, because it's the same market, as he said, that we're going to. It
was the reason that I prayed that the former president, the outgone president, should never attempt it, because the country will have completely collapsed. And under this administration, I guess Mr. President, Asiwaju just discovered that after making that statement again, living wage. Now he has realized that a living wage will not be sustainable, because our entire revenue, whatever we make, you know this already, 97% is used for debt servicing. We are printing money. The same thing Buhari and Emefiele were doing. We are taking loans. The subsidy that was to have been removed, even World Bank and some APC people, Ibman, have said that they are paying subsidy. Even NNPC has proven that they are paying subsidy. Why? Because the last time they said, independent marketers, go and buy your fuel, it's a free market, did not get up to 1 week. They reverted back to NNPC being the sole importer. That's because they are regulating, they are controlling, they are doing the manipulation. And with the same man who has that same consciousness that brought us here at the helm of affairs of NNPC. Because you cannot tell why Mr. President sees him as indispensable when the system, when the citizens are groaning daily. So we are in crisis. So the main issue, I have always said, is not even the wage increase. You can keep on giving the wage award and say, please, let us reposition the economy and be truthful.
That's another thing now.
Be truthful.
People are saying that the labor is asking, and you insinuated such earlier, that the labor is asking for the wrong things.
Absolutely.
The main thing, the priority should not be on the minimum wage, because even if we are being paid 615,000 naira or 200,000 naira, whatever amount, with constant inflation, you would have to continue reviewing the minimum wage.
Absolutely.
And then the problem has to be solved from the root. So what exactly should the labor be demanding for?
Labor are present everywhere. You know, private sector is part of labor. But when they plan, they don't carry the private sector along. But when they are doing the do march pass, those in the private sector, even the artisans, the organizer in front of your studio here, across the road, is a member of the labor. I've been joining labor in Akwa Ibom State on protest several times. March everywhere, get to government house and they'll talk, we leave. Sometimes you go back home, you ask your wife or your son, please boil water, come and massage, because it was a long walk to freedom. And the next thing is, nothing happens. And I have been telling them, even my private conversation with some labor leaders and on radio, that labor should get consultants to think for them. They have lost it, particularly this very administration. Why? Because the last are non-existent. It was a bundle of, I don't know what adjective to use to qualify them. That was why they allowed Buhari to have his way and put everybody where some have never and may never be able to recover. Ajero came, controversies here and there, beating here and there, intimidation here and there, and now he has subpedal. He's now going back to the Labour Party to go and see what position can be grabbed, how they can control the party, which is not his responsibility. Yeah, Labour Party is owned by Labour Congress, but you cannot run the party. Go and find out how it's run in Britain, where you have Labour Party. And the issue that, oh, Labour has a party, so Labour leader is partisan, is for the gullibles, for people who are mischievous. They even use that as a yardstick to measure when Labour leader speaks. But so far, he has refused to listen to people like us, because I speak on air, Labour people are listening, the media is listening, there are people that are monitoring stations where people say who says what, and you should be able to take action where necessary. Nobody has taken action by saying, Labour, get consultants. If a whole government can get consultants to see how to plant cassava, that we've been planting since I was born, plant tomatoes, or even bring industries, some of which you can do, or even do road construction, or petty things, even plant flowers, grasses. So what stops you from saying, please, get some thinkers, maybe from university? At least the ASU has been one outstanding union that I respect, but they have given up on speaking on national issues. Get discussants like us. We can do it free of charge for you. After I've been doing what I've been doing free of charge, because I believe in giving, and that's why God has kept me. And I even appear, some people say, you are better than people that are oppressing you. I say, I'm a miracle. So they need consultants to think for them. And what will be the key thing that I will say freely, I've been saying freely? There is so much looted funds in the hands of people that don't need that money, and they will never need it the rest of their lives. So recovery of looted funds and making corruption unattractive will be key to our recovery. And what do you think they will recover? Nigeria will recover trillions. I'm sure Nigeria will recover more than what we are even owing. In the oil sector, the last Naira change, I remember the day the former CBN governor announced, they said bring back the former currency that you changed, since there's no new currency that you printed. He said he has burnt them. I said, this man, let me not say what I added. He said he had burnt them. What? We have so much money. They knew. That was why they were telling us there's so much money in the economy. They have to withdraw it and control through the banks. You remember that? But there was no money in the economy. Why? They had pumped in or printed trillions, and they knew, some of them knew how much was being stolen in the oil sector, which they were the ones controlling, and they needed to do something to turn everybody into destitute, and the whole country became an IDP camp. Thank God for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Mr. President. The man is now clinging to the biggest Bible I have seen while going to court. He may not even know which the next book after Genesis, but he carries a very massive Bible to the court and to Black Maria and all of that. Deceit, there's too much deceit, and when these guys look at how much they have, they look at us as fools.
Okay, so
we need to be able to recover looted funds,
okay,
and plunge back this money into the economy. Some of them are in dollars, like Emefiele. We've had the report, a single individual was given up to $3.4 billion at less than the official rate. That money is somewhere. That money, if recovered, Naira will strengthen, and the refineries will work. Those that are using the refineries, turnaround maintenance, to be making their billions, just the monies they will live on till the rest of their lives. Maybe the thing will not work. All this will stop. Our people are not productive. Our leaders are not productive. Even in this state, you keep recycling people that have plunged us into multi-dimensional poverty, the highest in Niger Delta, and they are still carrying themselves with pride. We are going to puncture that. All those balloons, we are going to just pin on the balloon, and before you know it, there's what I called free brain transplant. Until that comes, we'll be going around in circles, because a typical person in government is after making his money, not because he loves the people. So we have to compel them through constructive engagement to love themselves and love the people. Fear the people and not the people fearing them, because that will become tyranny. Democracy will be when leaders respect citizens and do things rightly.
All right, let's get to hear from the listener now. Let's open the phone lines now for contributions, for reactions to the discussions. The phone lines are open. If you're just joining us, this is the melting point on Memories 96.5 FM, and we're talking about the state of the economy. We're talking about federal government and the labor. We're talking about the demand from the labor to the federal government to pay 615,000 naira as a living wage. What are your thoughts on this matter? The phone lines are open, and the phone numbers are 0803 085 7755, 0803 085 7755, or 0809 066 6909, 0809 066 6909, or drop a message on our WhatsApp platform 0809 066 6909. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, big guy. This is Akwan calling from you.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Akwan.
Yeah, I want to say that labor is not serious, because they know that government will not pay 615,000 naira as minimum wage, and they are even giving them ultimatum up to 29th of this month.
31st.
Okay. Now they have come down to between 70 to 100,000 naira, because
okay, we lost that. We have another call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning and welcome to the program. What's your name and where you calling us from?
My name is Jimmy Mandor.
All right. Welcome to the program.
Okay. Let me start by saying this. Are we serving Nigerians with our strength? That is number one. Because for me, even at all, maybe with our last strength, even if they labor, when the federal government is saying, okay, they will put the money for us for the workers. What about this? You know, all the police, who are to speak for it? You know, if one person is that he hasn't drink water this morning, they will just shut down, shut in won't go and complete and dismiss it. So we have to put in consideration. If Nigeria are not taking us, if our own country is facing what, this is not solution, this is not going to solution. That's what I say. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's take another one. Hello, good morning. Okay, we have another one. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. Welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Okay, go on.
Yeah, to me, I think both labor union and the government, they are getting this thing completely wrong.
How so?
Labor is pushing for living wage, and the government itself is not doing things properly. And immediately minimum wage is increased, go rise, and that will make that living wage so-called useless or meaningless. Market, the prices of goods will make render that thing, just rubbish the new minimum wage, no matter the amount. On the part of government has not put the policies in place to make sure that citizens live in a fine way in this country. Instead of increasing the money and increasing the rate of inflation, they should begin to go into positive agriculture. What I mean by positive agriculture, as of today, both the federal, the state, and local government, they are not paying themselves to agriculture. Nigeria, as of today, should not be doing subsistence farming. I understand in America, just about 2% of the population feed the whole nation, and they even have surplus for export.
Okay, wrap things up.
International diplomacy. But here in Nigeria, we are still struggling with subsistence farming. And we are not thinking of large-scale industrial farming. We are too big. In fact, that's why we engage in industrial farming in West Africa.
Thank you.
Yes, Papa.
All right, thank
So
you.
that is the problem we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take another one. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Take that again. What did you say?
David is calling from the head of the government.
Okay, welcome to the program. What's your take?
Good morning, Stephen MK.
Yeah, good morning, Dave.
Yeah, I listened to your analysis, Mr. MKO. Yeah, you made a very good analysis.
Thank you.
I'm a tutor of things in the country. But what I always sadden me more much is that the federal government does not listen. The government concerned doesn't listen. So Fineke was there in the studio, and from my own perspective, I see him as a person that was being sent by God to fight them. But people that was God, but the people that was being sent to never received him. That's why everything is said, don't really making sense and can transform the country. The government of themselves does not take it into cognizance. That is why I said this. When I went out sometime in February, when I went out to I said that the idea of not to fix this country and I does not reside with our leaders. It resides with the people. But the story of this all is that when this idea is being covered by the people, the leaders will not take it into cognizance. So, even if the man has said a lot, the leaders will not listen and they will not even do anything about it. Why? Because there is a lot of impunity in the system. Now, let's talk about labor. Labor, I've said it and I'm going to say it. But whenever you bring the wrong kind of person to mind the right position, I mean, you lead the right to go the wrong way. The way the labor is right now is incredible in the kind of leadership that labor have. Also, the people in this federation are not doing enough to help themselves and not help the posterity. Because the people remain in the position of being complacent.
Okay. Your time is up. Thank you. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Hello. Good morning. Let's take our last call. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. What's your name? Okay, welcome to the program. Quickly now, what's your take?
I want to contribute by saying that I see labor leadership as just like a politician's leadership, because I don't really know the angle they usually use in bringing out their policies. I want to believe that if they know and they believe that the government can pay minimum wage from 20,000 as the Edo State is doing, I want to ask, what did Labour do before concerning graduates that are wasting their time at home and by the